The debate surrounding officiating in international rugby has once again taken center stage. But this time the discussion is not about a controversial yellow card or a late penalty. Instead, attention has turned to one of the most talked about moments from the Springboks' impressive victory over Scotland in the Nations Championship, where a unique restart sequence has sparked widespread discussion among players, coaches, referees, and supporters around the rugby world. Although the reigning world champions eventually secured a convincing 42-28 victory, many fans have been asking whether one of South Africa's crucial first-half tries should ever have appeared on the scoreboard. Adding even greater weight to the debate is the opinion of one of rugby's most respected former officials, Nigel Owens, whose analysis has reopened discussions about how the laws of the game should be interpreted during fast-moving situations. Whenever Owens offers his perspective, the rugby community listens carefully because of his experience officiating some of the biggest matches in international rugby history. His latest comments have once again highlighted the constant challenge facing referees as they attempt to apply complex laws in real time while managing one of the fastest and most physical sports in the world. The match itself had all the ingredients of a classic international encounter. The Springboks, guided by head coach Rassie Erasmus, entered the contest carrying enormous expectations after building an incredible reputation as the dominant force in World Rugby. Across the field stood a determined Scotland side eager to prove that they could challenge the back-to-back Rugby World Cup champions. From the opening whistle, the physical intensity reflected the importance of the occasion. Every collision carried significance, every breakdown became fiercely contested, and neither team showed any willingness to take a backward step. South Africa struck first through scrum half Ambrose Papier, whose early try settled the home supporters and rewarded the pressure created by the powerful forward pack. Reliable fly half Handré Pollard calmly added the conversion, giving the hosts an early advantage that immediately placed pressure on the visitors to respond. However, it was the very next restart that would become the biggest talking point of the entire match. As Scotland attempted to restart play, lock Cobus rose confidently to collect the high ball. Assisted by prop Boan we secured possession above the heads of the chasing Scottish players. What happened next immediately divided opinion. Instead of being brought directly back to the ground after securing the catch, Wiese remained elevated while being carried forward for several steps. The Scottish defenders suddenly found themselves in an unusual situation. Rugby's laws are designed to protect players competing in the air, and defenders know that making contact with an airborne player can result in severe punishment. Faced with uncertainty, the Scottish chasers hesitated, unwilling to risk conceding a penalty through accidental contact. That hesitation allowed Wiese to return safely to the ground before accelerating into open space, creating momentum that eventually led to another attacking opportunity for the Springboks. Within moments, the defending world champions were advancing deep into Scottish territory. Powerful carries from the South African forwards stretched the defensive line before impressive support play created additional opportunities. Eventually, number 8 Evan Roos crossed the try line to extend the Springboks lead to 14-0. At the time, it looked like another example of South Africa's remarkable efficiency. Few people inside the stadium questioned the legality of the restart sequence because play had moved on so quickly. Yet as television replays circulated and analysts examined every angle, attention gradually shifted away from the finish itself and toward the events that had allowed the attack to begin. Supporters from both nations flooded social media with different interpretations, some praising the intelligence of the South African players, while others argued that the laws had been exploited in a way that unfairly prevented the Scottish defence from competing. The discussion became even more significant when former international referee Nigel Owens offered his detailed assessment. Throughout an officiating career that earned respect across every major rugby nation, Owens became known for combining deep knowledge of the laws with calm communication and consistency under immense pressure. His willingness to explain complicated decisions has continued since retirement, making him one of the sport's most trusted voices whenever controversial incidents occur. In reviewing the restart, Owens carefully separated the situation from traditional obstruction. Rather than describing it as a player blocking defenders, he focused on the unique protection given to airborne players under rugby's laws. According to his interpretation, the issue was not that defenders were physically blocked, but that they were effectively prevented from making any legal challenge because the ball carrier remained suspended above the ground for longer than necessary. This distinction may sound technical, but it strikes at the heart of modern officiating. Rugby's safety laws exist primarily to protect players contesting high balls from dangerous collisions. Those protections have become increasingly strict over recent years as World Rugby has prioritized player welfare and reduced the risk of serious injuries. Normally, lifting a teammate to catch a restart is entirely legal, provided that player is safely returned to the ground immediately after collecting possession. The controversy arises when that lifting action appears to continue beyond the point required to secure the ball. If defenders hesitate because they fear making illegal contact with an airborne opponent, then the attacking side may gain an unintended tactical advantage that the laws never intended to create. That is precisely why this incident has generated so much discussion among referees, coaches, and former players. For Rassie Erasmus and the Springboks, the sequence may simply have reflected instinctive reactions during an intense test match. Elite rugby players are trained to maximize every possible advantage within the laws of the game, and split-second decisions often determine the outcome of international contests. There is no suggestion that South Africa deliberately attempted to break the laws. Instead, the debate centers on whether the existing wording of those laws adequately addresses unusual situations that occur only occasionally. Rugby continues evolving every season as coaches introduce new tactical ideas, forcing referees and lawmakers to consider scenarios that may never previously have required clarification. The Springboks have frequently been at the forefront of tactical innovation under Erasmus, whether through creative substitutions, evolving line-out strategies, or intelligent kicking patterns. Their willingness to think differently has often forced the sport to examine existing interpretations more closely. Meanwhile, Scotland can understandably feel frustrated that such a pivotal moment occurred so early in the contest. Against a team as clinical as the Springboks, falling behind by 2 converted tries creates enormous pressure. South Africa rarely allow opponents easy opportunities to recover because of their exceptional defensive organization, territorial kicking, and dominance at the set piece. Every point matters against the world champions, making controversial moments even more significant when the final margin reflects the influence of early momentum. While no single incident ever determines the outcome of a test match entirely, sequences like these inevitably become focal points whenever officials and analysts review performances after the final whistle. As debate continues across the rugby world, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Modern rugby demands extraordinary precision not only from players but also from referees responsible for interpreting complex laws under immense pressure. Every unusual situation creates another opportunity for World Rugby to evaluate whether current regulations remain fit for purpose or require greater clarity. With experienced voices like Nigel Owens contributing thoughtful analysis, the conversation extends far beyond one try or one result. Instead, it becomes part of rugby's ongoing effort to balance innovation, fairness, player safety, and competitive integrity. And with the nation's championship continuing to produce high-intensity encounters every weekend, supporters can be certain that discussions surrounding officiating and the laws of the game are far from over. As the rugby world continued to analyze the incident long after the final whistle, the discussion expanded far beyond one controversial restart. It became another example of how modern test rugby is constantly evolving, with players, coaches, and officials all searching for the smallest possible advantage. Every season, teams discover new tactical ideas that challenge the interpretation of existing laws, forcing World Rugby to examine whether those laws remain clear enough for referees to apply consistently. The debate surrounding the Springboks in Scotland was not simply about whether one try should have stood. It became part of a much larger conversation about how rugby should deal with situations that were never expected to become significant tactical weapons. As the game becomes faster, more physical, and increasingly detailed, even a few seconds during a restart can influence the momentum of an entire international match. One reason this incident attracted so much attention is because it involved the Springboks, a team that has earned enormous respect for its tactical intelligence under head coach Rassie Erasmus. South Africa's success has never relied solely on physical dominance. While the world champions undoubtedly possess one of the strongest forward packs in international rugby, they have also developed a reputation for constantly looking for innovative ways to improve their performance. Whether introducing creative bench strategies, adapting defensive systems, or refining their kicking game, Erasmus and his coaching staff are rarely afraid to challenge conventional thinking. Many supporters believe this willingness to innovate is one of the reasons why the Springboks have remained at the top of World Rugby despite fierce competition from teams such as the All Blacks, Ireland, France, England, Scotland, Argentina, and Australia.